Hey, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Good morning. This is Spirit Journey. How you guys doing? Yes, I'm back on the saddle. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, came back on yesterday, and yeah, I did share that video uh, on what happened with YouTube, what video they pulled and all that. Yes, just to prove what happened. But yeah, good morning, good morning, good morning. Yeah, let me see if I can turn the camera. I'm in an awkward position right now in bed. I'm still in bed. Let me see if I could change. Yeah, I should have charged my tablet a little better. Let me see if I can turn the camera. Right. Oh, you can see me. Let me see. Let me see if I can do this. Mm. Yes, good morning. Oh, I look horrible, right? Yeah, good morning. Yeah, let me just take the I usually pointing out there, but I have my device plugged in. It's too short, and I'm all on the side like this. It's really awkward. I want to sit up straight, you know. Yeah, this is my Maylard blanket. It's lightweight, but makes a lot of noise. Yeah. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How you guys doing? Yeah, this is Spirit Journey, and oh, today is Saturday. Good morning, Saturday, and it is no, I'm sorry, December 3rd, 2022, and the time is about 7:04, 7:09 in the AM. Yeah, hope you all are doing well. Yeah, it's a little chilly in here. Yeah, how you guys doing? Well, what do I want to talk about today? The title is asking someone what their background is. Is that racist? I know this is an early, what an early talk, you know. But yeah, I was just watching a video. Hope you guys can hear me also. I was just watching a video, and it was regarding a new scandal in Britain, and it involved two women. Uh, One was a woman that was the lady in waiting for the former queen, and another one was a woman from an organization that helps out women, and the person that works in the royal, work for the royals. She's a white woman, and the woman from the organization for women, I think it's for battered women, is a black woman. And the organization to help women, she and many other women were invited for a function. And so they're all at the palace. And the woman in question, um, her name is Lady Lady Hussey, and well, she approaches um, the the women's organization. Her last name is Fulani. Okay, so you have Fulani, who works for the women's organization, and then you had Lady Hussey, and she used to be the lady in waiting for the late queen. And when Lady Hussey approached her, she just said hello, and then she said, "Where are you from?" So the response was, um, based on the response, she might have thought, "Where are you from?" Meaning, what organization you're representing. Okay.
So she says she's from such and such organization. And she says, no, no, I don't mean that. I mean, where you from? So she responded something to the effect that um, she's from such and such town or something like that, and that wasn't enough. Then she says, um, I know that you're an African of some type, but where are you from originally? And this offended the lady. Um, so she responds that that she that to the fact that she is um, of she is of Caribbean heritage, but African descent, and that she was born here. But the lady, Lady Hussey, now, because see, initially she was like surprised, see, it's getting me confused, even talking about it. But it's short that the Lady Hussey was just not backing off, and at one point saying, "Oh, see, I know that we would get to." Uh, oh yeah, I remember. She was saying that her parents came during the 1950s, and then the lady, Hussey said, "See, now we're getting somewhere. I know that that you know I would get the answer, or blah blah blah." But it's like she's already decided in her head, what the lady is, but she wasn't backing off. And the Miss Falani is upset. And so I wanted to talk, so my video, my live stream would be based on my experiences and being born and raised in the U.S. I have a lot of experiences. So is it racist? So I could relate to Miss Falani, extremely well. I could relate to what she said. And I think, can something like that be racist? It can be. And also, no as well. I think each situation is different. The main thing is, how did something make you feel? How did it make you feel? How did the person ask? Did someone say, hey, I'm from such and such background, hey, are you from the same place? Where are you, that's different. Um, I've been asked questions like that from all types of people, both white and black. And it could be very, very uncomfortable and aggravating. And so I want to share with you, I hope you guys can hear me too. This is my early morning voice, so I have to be careful, try to speak up a little louder. Let me see. Yeah, so in my experiences, well, my background, I am born and raised in the United States, born and raised in New York City, and lived in the county of Queens. And I've always been asked about my background from both white and black. And sometimes you could feel, neutral, and other times it's charged. So I want to talk about some of those things. I think like the latest thing that happened to me, it was before COVID. I was in a park near where I live, not too far where I live, about a mile away. And I'm not wearing anything so-called we call ethnic. I had my hair out, I think. I was wearing a sundress, an American, sundress, long, a full length, a maxi sundress. That's the full length, and sandals. Um, and I noticed a woman, an older woman, white woman, and she's with a whole bunch of other white ladies. They were senior citizens, you know, silver-haired ladies, maybe the 70s and 80s. And she might have been maybe a little younger than the majority of those ladies that she was with. Very bubbly. And then she comes over to me. Now, I was talking to uh, someone at the time, just relaxing, and she comes up in my face, very maybe 6 inches from my face, and I'm sitting down, so she's bent forward in my face, and she's trying to be friendly. She's very bubbly, and I didn't feel comfortable with her in my face. I didn't like that. Um, but I felt that something phony about her. I felt she's being forward, not giving me my space, because I am talking to someone, and the pretense of her trying to be very friendly, like she's not trying to harm me, just trying to be friendly. She's smiling all in my face. I didn't feel comfortable. I didn't like her. Why I didn't feel comfortable or like her? Because I felt she was like a throwback from uh, the past, like from the 1950s, 60s era. And I just didn't want to deal with her personality. Um, so I forget what the initial question was. But then she says, "Are you a native? Are you a native?" Now, what is that supposed to mean? And I forget the exact response I said, but I know I said something to the effect that I am from New York City. I am a New Yorker. Then she eventually goes and walks away. But how it made me feel, like she's like like examining me, like I have to cater to her curiosity, and that I didn't like. I didn't like her. um, Lack of boundaries. Yeah, that happened maybe around 2018, maybe 2018, 2017. Um, and I never was asked something like that. Native, am I a native? That agenda don't hear. You know, I would think someone would say, "Hey, are you from New York? Are you a resident here? Are you a native New Yorker?" You know, something you hear the expression "native New Yorker." That just means someone that's born and raised there. When people say native New Yorker, not that I'm the people from the time of Columbus. No, I'm not that. But I'm born and raised here. Many people that live in New York City that I meet are from somewhere else. So, yeah, boundaries. Growing up, okay, again, I am born and raised in New York City. I'm not from the South. My heritage is not from the southern states. And many blacks that do live here, many are from the South. And some of the style of talking is a little different than mine. Okay. Um, you also have a large number of blacks from the Caribbean, and that is actually my background. My grandparents came uh, to New York City from the Caribbean, and so and I sound just like my mother, in my opinion. um, so that is part of the reason why I may not sound like some people, but blacks, um, we could come from different places. Many people in New York City are from the Caribbean, and I think the largest ethnic group is the Caribbean, and actually from the island of what's that? The Dominican Republic. That's what I was told. I don't know whether it's true, but I was told that is the largest ethnic group in New York City. What else? So I understand now, as you know, as an adult, like in my 30s and on, I understand um, how people would ask me certain questions. Now, being a child, I didn't really know much about differences in people, really. I mean, I think people are taught to notice certain differences, and so the way that I talk, I never thought anything of it because everybody in my inner circle, we all, in my opinion, we all sound the same. But it's when you come out of your inner circle and you're with the general population, and people start meeting different types of people. When labels are given, again, labels is just to be descriptive, but some labels could have uh, undertone meanings that could be negative or positive. Okay, and I think that's what's really the issue many times when someone's asked about their background. Um, I remember once, I think yeah, I did have an opportunity to live in the Caribbean as an adult when I got out of the military. Um, I was on the island of St. Thomas, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I met a white woman. She was a young woman. She might have been a little younger than me at the time. This was maybe 30 years ago. And I think she said she was from Queens, and she asked me where I'm from. I said, I'm from Queens also. And when she said, no, you're not from Queens. They don't sound like you in Queens. I said, well, I am born and raised in Queens. And I was defensive. And I'm saying to myself, I said, wait a minute. Who is she to tell me? We're both from Queens. And there are a lot of different ethnic groups in Queens. And we didn't really talk any different, me and her. But what she's getting at, in my opinion, was race. And that I don't sound like the black people that she's met. If I had a so-called Ebonics accent or style of talking, she would not have said I wasn't from Queens. But for her experience and how I took it, I felt pigeonholed. If I'm born and raised in a place, and if she's born, who makes her way of talking, or what she is, what makes her the standard? I felt she was saying that she's the standard, and I'm not, based on race. So that standpoint, I thought that she was being biased. I thought she was being biased, and in essence, racist, because she's saying that I'm not who I claim I am. So there you have to really be careful when you're addressing someone with someone's background. Now you do have people who lie about their background, but if someone is telling the truth about where they're from, we all, the first inhabitants in New York City was not white people, was not Europeans. So who is she to say she's the standard? And yeah, you had blacks in New York City since the 1600s. So, and back then in 1600, it was under the Dutch flag. So the people back then, the new inhabitants, will all have like Dutch accents. And if you're an African person brought here as to be enslaved, you would probably have the accent of what community you're from in Africa. Let's say you have children, they may have acquired the accent of their oppressors, or a blend of the two. But either way, I felt the lady was being hostile, and I didn't like it. I didn't like because how it made me feel that I felt that she was taking away my identity of, the different levels of identities, uh, identity based on, hey, I'm from, what town you're from, or what state, like when I was in the military. People ask, hey, what state are you from? Because we come from all over. The U.S. military recruits people from every state and territories. And so, in that standpoint, when they ask, they're asking in relationship, because they're all in the same boat, so to speak. We're all in boot camp. We're all from, we all have different experiences. We have different energies. Different states have different energies, different ways of thinking, and we're all put under the same umbrella. And so this curiosity, hey, where are you coming from? Hey, where are you from? Hey, I'm from, you know, yeah. So in that standpoint, um, I don't think it would be racist or bias in that social context. What is the social context you are coming from? Okay. Something like, I remember another situation. I was on the train with someone that I worked with. I was uh, working at a site. It was a financial institution. And there was a woman, she was very tall. Um, she looked very, in my eyes, she was very different. And I feel different. Sometimes I feel like a different person. I feel like I stand out at times, especially being in New York City. But I saw a woman who I was working with, and something, I felt very curious about her. I felt like a connection. There's something that I identified with this woman. I was maybe, oh, how old was I? I could have been in my early 30s. I forget. Either my mid-20s or early 30s. I forget. Yeah, I'm really not sure whether it was. I'm not sure whether it was before the military or just after the military. But either way, um, I see this woman, and I liked how she dressed too. She was a woman of color. She um, was uh, she was of mixed heritage, and I am also someone, even though I consider myself black, but I am someone of mixed racial heritage, and so I was curious about her because I felt back then it wasn't really a lot of people that I was meeting that seemed like someone of more recent mixed heritage. It was just something different about her, and I identified with her. So we were on the train together, and how did I word it? I was very excited. I said, "Say, I'm curious. So what's your?" I forget how I said it, but we were already talking and everything. But I was curious about her. Yes, good morning, viewer. Good morning. Yeah, in front of the camera today. I hope I don't look too bad. But yeah, I know that we were talking already, and I says, I know I asked, like, hey, what's your background? What, something like that. I know I asked her, and but how she responded, she was positive. We were, she didn't feel threatened by me, and I think she knew that I said, that I liked her as a person. I was curious about her, and I felt very comfortable about her. So I don't think she felt threatened. Yeah, we even went shopping and everything, but she gave me more than she gave me a mouthful of. I didn't mean for her to go so in depth. Yeah, so sometimes be careful. Hey, thank you for the thumbs up. So sometimes it's not I mean, someone might ask a question, but they, they may really mean, what part of town you're from. But she went really in depth. Um, I really wish I could remember how I worded it, but I was curious about her as a person, what made her seem different, and I was trying to connect with her. Um, I guess I was trying to find out, is she the same background as me? But she did say um, she one parent was black and one was white, and she was put into foster care, and that she was raped. I didn't expect her to say that. Um, I mean, this is on the train, and she was a little older than me too. Um, I didn't expect that. Yeah, and she shared about her background, being someone of uh, dual heritage, put into foster care, and that the foster care's boyfriend raped her. She was 2 or 3 years old. And she just said she just remembers there was a lot of blood. And this is what she's telling me. I didn't expect that. Um, wow. Sometimes when we see people, um, we can something I connect with her. I connected with. I knew she was of mixed heritage. That was obvious to me, but just how she spoke. We spoke the same way. Um, she's just really nice too. Nice business suit, and so you'd be surprised, people. Yeah, I identify with that. I understand what it's like for boundaries, physical boundaries also. So I think that's also what I might have been picking up. Um, so yes, sometimes when you ask someone their background, they give you a lot, more than what you really, intended. Yeah, um, that was the deepest experience. Um, and I think I told her about my background too. Yeah, I was just eager about her. I wanted to share. I'm pretty sure I told her about my background. Um, yeah, back then, I wanted to connect with people. I wanted to connect with people who kind of reminded me of myself, because it could be very lonely. It could be very lonely socially when you don't fit in the two opposites, to the left or to the right. I'm in the middle. I consider myself socially in the middle, so to speak. I, I, um, I'm curious about, I think because as I got older, I started noticing, when you start to learn about different ethnic groups or nationalities, and you start to um, notice what they might call accents or different styles of talking, um, things like that, that start to really define people. But when you're young, you don't, everything's different to you. You're all, you don't, you put meaning into things, You might put meaning into certain styles of talking or regional dialects, things like that. And those meanings could be negative or positive. And uh, when life starts to hit you, and people in the job market, and people in competition, that's when one's differences really start to stand out. That's where the pain could follow, and that's where the sense of racism comes about, especially in a place like, in the United States and in New York City. New York City has everything, it seems, all different backgrounds, all different races, religions, nationalities. And is it racist to ask someone about their background? Again, how was your approach? What is the motive? Now, the lady that I spoke to that shared gave more than I intended for her to share. Um, we were already talking, and she, I think she knew my heart, and and I think because we shared similar uh, appearances, uh, voice patterns, and especially if you live within the black community. And yeah, she was a light skinned woman, um, and she had about a dark skinned black boyfriend. She told me, yeah, she's in the a part of the black community. So I think with me, she and I that she understood. Again, she was a little older than me. She understood where I was coming from. That um, the way we speak. Um, I was in the military also, and I remember being in the military. Um, Now, yes, I've been asked many times about my background. Um, Sometimes I was made fun of the way I talk. Some of the people, the assumption that some people get is that I'm a Jamaican. They would ask. Um, yeah, that's the primary one. They know I'm not from the South. They immediately assume I'm from Jamaica. I know I'm not from Jamaica. Um, or they might say, what else? Oh God, I'm trying to remember. Yes, some people started asking if I'm from um, Puerto Rico. Yeah, um, mostly Puerto Rico. Yeah, Dominicans ask me, am I Puerto Rican? And then Puerto Ricans ask, am I a Boricuan? A Boricua. um, Interesting with the Hispanic Caribbean community here. Um, they're eager to how I receive it, that they want to know whether you're, I don't know, I don't know whether it's like a friend or foe. They try to feel me out. They assume I'm something from the Caribbean, which is correct, Caribbean, but they assume from one of those two islands. Um, it could hurt sometimes that you don't know whether you're being accepted by them. Like, I'm almost nervous. I mean, I like myself, but like, I don't want them because if I'm not from where they are, I don't know whether they want to be my friend. That's what my issue was. Are they just curious, or are they going to judge me? And at one time, I worked at it was a retail store, and she was a mature, she was an older lady. Yeah, I was, let's see, this was like 20, a little over 20 years ago. And she was a little older than me. So I felt, I respect my elders. And I did feel threatened by her. She was of Puerto Rican ancestry. Um, she was a little brown, a little darker than me. And she said, oh, are you Puerto Rican? Then I said to her, I said, well, no, but I hope we can still be friends. That's what I said. That's what I said. Because I didn't want to feel like I was being judged. Not that, I mean, she said it, she was curious. I didn't feel threatened per se, because she was a mature woman. She might have been late 40s, early 50s. I liked her also. She seemed like a nice person. But I did the social climate, um, things in New York City, because you have more and more different groups coming into New York City, and dominance. Who's going to be, more dominant over the other as a group. And so I didn't want to feel like, boy, I hope she's not going to judge me. I mean, that's what I felt a little bit. I mean, I don't know, but that's what my response was to her. When people of color, people from of black heritage or Caribbean heritage, I'm a little less defensive because I know we're basically all in the same boat, and we're just curious. We're just curious about who we are. We know that we come from all over. We have different experiences, and many of us live in communities. So it's a means of identifying who you are. And so with that's how I interpret it. And I'm a curious person also. I'm just as curious about who they are, right? But I don't like asking, in general, I don't like asking people. But if I do ask someone what I would say, I don't just go walk up to someone, hey, what are you? That's rude. In my opinion, that's rude. But if I say, hey, hi, how you doing? Hey, I come from, I start with myself. I always feel when you're addressing someone who you don't know or limited exposure, um, extend yourself. Share about who you are, because it's more disarming, and it's showing goodwill. It's showing goodwill. It's putting yourself out there. It's putting yourself in a more vulnerable position, and you share about who you are. Hi, you say hello. Say hello. What do you got? What do you think if someone came up to you and hey, what are you, or where you from? How would you feel? This is what this live stream is about. How does it make you feel? And and how should you approach someone? So for me, I feel like um, if you're curious about knowing who someone is, share about yourself first. You want to know what someone does for a living? Say, hey, hi, yeah, I'm just over here, and I just noticed you're here. My name is so and so, and I do such and such work, and I was just curious, who you are, where you from, something like that. It's less disarming, definitely. Yeah, if you want to know something about someone, you share that about yourself first. You want to ask someone about their money? Talk about your money first. No, please don't ask people about their money. Yeah, yeah, I told you about that story. A neighbor, lived right there. I live in an apartment building, and I was really offended. Yeah, I felt he was yeah, definitely judging me. He wanted to know about whether I'm good enough to be in this apartment. I live in a very well kept, high rise luxury apartment. I've been here for going on 20 years, and this person is new. Okay, the incident happened, oh wow, almost exactly a year ago. It could have been exactly a year ago, actually, today. Yeah. And I said hello, and I was coming in with my stroller with my little dogs. And he comes out of his apartment and just walks up to me. He had an extremely heavy accent. And I didn't understand what he was asking me. He had to repeat it 3 or 4 times. And when he said it the last time, I looked at him like I was really offended. He says, are you subsidized, or are you paying the going rate to live in this building? I said, excuse me? I don't go walking up to you and ask you about your finances. You got the nerve to ask me about my finances? Oh, I'm sorry. And then he just scurries away. See, he was judging me to see, I took that as racism. Even though he was a person of color from Asia, East Asia of some place. And I thought that he was judging me how he wants to treat me as a neighbor based on my social economic. He never said hello, good afternoon, morning. That's the first thing he said. That was evil. I thought he was evil and racist. And yet someone's not even from here. He sounded like he maybe just arrived. A minute, who knows? Sounded like he just arrived in the States, and to do that, yeah. So I consider that a type of bigotry, racism based on my race. I felt his actions. Because again, it's none of his business. What does that have to do? See that's the same type of thing with what happened to in Britain. Yeah, I start out this live stream about the incident that happened in Britain regarding a black woman who was born and raised in Britain and a white British lady who worked for the royal family. And there was a gathering. People were invited from different organizations, and the black woman was from a women's organization for battered women, and there were guests of the royal house, and a woman, the lady that works for the royals, she was the what do you call it, lady in waiting for the late queen. And maybe the position went to her head, whatever. And then she says hello to the black woman. It was getting in her business. And it offended her. It offended the black woman. And as a result of the incident, the white lady resigned. Okay. So you notice now everything seems to be about race. Why in the U.S. with the basketball player with what else with Ye, also known as Kanye, all these things. Do you notice that is being put out in front? And then you have the Hebrew Israelites that was marching in Brooklyn. So I think it's really trying to set up an event to try to cause a race riot. So don't do that. Don't no race riot, no violence, no nonsense. See, they're trying to provoke. Um, so it's interesting that this event. My question regarding uh, something like this, what's happening in the United States, I start to ask myself, you, New York City, the United States has so many people of all backgrounds. Why is it that you only hear from that things are only happening to black people? The so-called black people, or people of African descent, are not the only people of color. So why is it? Why are we being put out there in politics, and it's not something positive? Just a question, just food for thought. And some other experiences. What are your experiences, people? You can share your experience about. Do you think it's racist for someone to ask you about your background, your where you come from? So yeah, I remember another incident. I was in the Navy, as I shared, and I I was in the bathroom doing my hair. Now I am a black woman, but yes, a black woman of mixed ancestry. My grandparents come from the Caribbean. So I understand, see, I understand that as an adult, that coming from a different place, so your genetic makeup may not be the same as another black person. And I'm aware of that. I understand that. And I embrace it. I have no problem. So I understand people's curiosity. But either way, I was, um, yeah, at this time in the military, I was embracing my black heritage. I was just before the military. Uh, I used to um, hang out with a group of people. It was a skaters group, roller skating, and it was in Central Park, and a group, it was a group of us, and we all socialized with each other. It was a very diverse group. I would say mostly black and Afro Latino type people, people from the Caribbean. You had whites, you had Jews, you had East Asian, um, you had people from south of the border. It was a big mix. And I met up with, surprisingly, two people of Puerto Rican heritage. They were called, today they would be called Afro Latino type. But the woman, she had a Puerto Rican mother and a black American father, but had some indigenous blood as well in her. And she was introducing me about black heritage. And the guy that I met there, both of his parents of Puerto Rican heritage, um, and he talked to me about, he shared with me about literature. Um, Alexander Pushkin, the famous Russian um, poet. He's the equivalent to William Shakespeare of Britain. And it was interesting that both people, I was very young, I was in my 20s, and these people, these two individuals, were in their 40s. And they were teaching me about blackness, of black heritage. And that's where I really started to grow and have more confidence about my skin. So by the time I got in the military, um, and I was doing my hair. Now, yeah, at that time, I had my natural hair. My hair, I have Afro texture hair, but not as tight a curl. And but it was my natural hair, and I did that. I wanted to wear my natural hair. Yeah, I had cut my hair. I used to for a couple of years I did have my hair chemically relaxed, and then I shaved my hair very short because I wanted to be natural. I was learning to appreciate my natural beauty. Um, I didn't put a lot of junk on my face or my hair. I was a natural person. So I thought, this is what I thought. I thought by having natural hair that I wouldn't be asked my background. I thought it was very obvious. I'm someone of black heritage. So one day I'm doing my hair, and a black American woman um, comes up to me, and she's like wants to cry. She's like on the verge of crying, and she asked me, "Are you black?" And I just thought it was so foolish a question. But I'm looking at her, and I said, "Yes." See, she thought. I mean, I can't even say what she thought, but what I could speculate is that she was meeting people of black heritage, but was not identifying themselves as black. And what if that were the case? What if that speculation is correct? Why should it bring a black American woman to tears? Doesn't she love herself? See, this is an issue that you have to be comfortable in your skin, so to speak. You have to like yourself. So regardless what you are who you are. And so this woman shouldn't be offended about what other people are. I mean, um, so who I was had nothing to do with what, how she is to feel about herself. It's like she wanted to feel accepted. And in the military, there are tons of black people. Many of the people, like in the military, I was in the Navy. It back then, this was in the 1980s. The demographics that they tend to get back then, they were either what they were called urban blacks, blacks from New York City, like where I'm from. Others from Texas. Yeah, that was a big one. Where else? Yeah, Texas and New York, as I remember. Um, and the whites were usually from, yeah, a lot of Texas also, whites from Texas. Um, they were generally from rural areas. Yeah, blacks are from large cities, and the whites were from rural areas. Okay, what else now? Yeah, so we could kind of look a little different from one another, and our accents could be a little different. But yeah, I thought that was amazing, uh, uh, confusingly amazing for this woman to want to cry because I'm speculating that she wants someone, she wanted me to claim certain things. So, yeah, that's a biggie in New York. And yes, I've done videos about Dominicans, people from the Dominican Republic denying their black heritage. But I thought it was odd that someone could not that they're not saying that they're black, but that of their nationality. They might say, well, I am let's say a Jamaican or Dominican or a Haitian or Puerto Rican. So sometimes people want to make distinctions between this subgroup of a people. So they want to make a distinction that they may not be from where you are, but they want to claim uh, a specific place where they're from, making distinction. That is something that's done often. Um, but yeah, that experiment with that woman, it showed me the pain that's happening amongst Black Americans. And again, I consider myself a Black American, but of Caribbean ancestry. But I feel the pain of what's happening here in America and the sensitivities about who we are and our identity. So, yeah, she never talked to me after that. I don't think I even saw her again, but I just thought it was an interesting experience. So here, even someone as a black person like myself, thinking that if I wear natural hair, that it will just let everybody know I'm a black person. But sometimes that's not enough. So people, was it racist of the black woman to ask me what I was? Is it? What is that racist? So, what else? Yeah, I remember another incident in the military. Um, it was with, she was an officer. She was a white female and young. She was, I think, younger than me. And I'm sorry. Yeah, she was a young woman. And yeah, no, she wasn't young. She was about 27. I was 26. Um, she was to be the officer over the cooking staff. Yeah, when you enter the military, uh, when you first come in, you have to do kitchen duty. It is like an initiation. That's all that I saw it as. It is hard work. But yes, that they have that. And so she was new on board, and she was to be in charge of the cooking staff. And one day I saw her, she was jogging, And I was outside. This is overseas. And she asked me, "Hey, what are you?" And I felt uncomfortable, just like that black woman in Britain who was asked by that the white woman that works for the royals. You know, like she didn't say hello. She just, who are you? What are you? Where are you from? And I kind of like got like, I was offended because I felt like I didn't understand this type of talk because see, in the military, you have all different types of American people, and all you had mostly whites, but you have a lot of blacks there, and I just didn't think. I thought it was obvious I was a black person. Again, I have my natural hair, but again, it's a little different than a lot of other blacks. Um, then she said, "Oh, I didn't mean any harm. I was just, curious, blah, blah, blah." And later on, that woman would threaten me to throw me out of the military. Let me tell you that. See, what the incident was a little was not directly related, but it shows how they feel. That they. Oh, I gotta sit up. Yeah, this is my Maylard blanket. It keep me warm. Yeah. So what happened here? Um, I was doing the quick kitchen work, and I had pulled a muscle in my stomach or something. Pain. We had to carry heavy products. We had to what they call stores. We had to bring on board the food aboard the ship, and it requires a lot of people to do. Because again, this is a large ship, a destroyer tender, and you have to get the food that's in these large boxes off the pier and bring them in the refrigerator, refrigerator and freezer inboard. So you have a long chain of people to carry the food. And again, they get the new birds. Yeah, I was a newbie. And we have to carry the food. So I had pulled the muscle. And you have to go to the doctor, and they give you what's called a light duty chit. It's just, you carry it in your pocket. And so it's to let the people, your superiors who you work under, I hate to word it like that, but the people above you. And if they have a question why you're not doing a particular task, you show them the chit that you hurt yourself, blah blah blah. So yeah, I had the chit in my pocket, and I wasn't doing excuse me, the carrying of the stuff. I was in the kitchen preparing food, and so he expected me to be carrying the stuff. So um, he was a white man, and he yelled at me. He says, "How come you're not doing the stores? You don't go out there. I'm gonna throw you in the garbage." Something like that. You're gonna find yourself in the garbage can. And I showed him my chit. I showed him. I said, I hurt myself. We're not allowed to carry anything over 5 pounds. Yeah, I think I showed him, and he still responded that he's going to threaten to throw me in a garbage can. And so I reported him to that same white lady, the officer who was new on board the ship, who's in charge of the cooking staff. And I have to prefix, about 2 weeks prior to that incident, there was a meeting for all the people who work in the kitchen that about harassment, sexual harassment, and other types of harassment. If anybody harasses you, you come to her personally. That's what she said 2 weeks prior to the incident. And so I went to her and I told her what was said. I wrote, you have to do a report. everything in the military is a report you have to do, and you have to write it on a particular uh, piece of paper, report paper. And when she came to see me, when I came to see her, I should say, you know what happened? She yelled at me. She said something to the effect, "This is her Navy, and if you continue, I'm going to remove you from the Navy." Something like that. Something like that. That the main thing that this was her Navy. Yeah, it was. It shocked me. This is what happens a lot with people of color. That if you speak out, see, the person that threatened me was a white man, and she was a white officer, and I'm a black person of color. And again, I'm not an officer, and so they wanted to remove me. Yeah, it caused a lot of problem, and I think it did result ultimately, not that one incident, but it was a series of incidences. See, when something like that happens, you're deemed a troublemaker. I was a hard worker. I was working at the time when the man threatened to throw me in a garbage can, you know. Um, it's like when you're not doing what they expect you to do, it's an expectancy. It's an expectancy to jump. It's an expectancy to respond a certain way. And when that doesn't occur, it freaks them out because the expectancy is that I'm supposed to have responded a certain way. So with that incident in Britain of, them asking you, what are you, or where you're from, it's an expectancy, and I guess maybe because of slavery, they want to know where this slave was from, or where you're from, or this or that. But either way, when they don't get the response that they want, and in the case of Britain, the recent experience in Britain, they didn't expect you to say, oh, you're from such and such town, or whatever. It wasn't enough. They wanted to be able to, oh, free girls in use, okay. I don't know what that is. So, what is this? Okay. Okay. Yeah, please don't, someone's right, looks like someone is trolling me. Please don't troll. If you have something constructive to say it, okay? So anyway, see, it's a thing called expectancy. And just like the white officer in the military had an expectancy to me to respond, oh, I'm a such and such. And then she got offended, she gets defensive. Oh, I didn't mean any harm, But she did mean harm because when I was in trouble, how did she respond? How did she respond? How come 2 weeks prior, she said, if anyone harasses you or sexually harasses you, it's not tolerated in her Navy. But when I became a victim of an incident with a white man promising me violence, I no longer was in her Navy. And yeah, it was an awful experience. So you get blacklisted. I think that was in part what happened with me. Um, Whites in the military, people in general, don't want to hear about racial incidences, and I felt that I try to keep a low profile. But again, I look the way I look. I sound the way I sound. You some things you can't hide, and in the military, you can't hide a lot of stuff because you have to undress in front of people. Everything. Your privacy is not yours. You learn that right away from day one in boot camp. So yeah. So here, she's curious about who I am. But again, when you don't respond in a certain way, it can get them excited. What else now? Other questions that, other things that happened to me. It was at a job site, and you had a dark-skinned American black woman. Yeah, one. It. I think part of the problem was status of what type of work you're doing. Back then, I was doing computer data entry, and the two dark-skinned black women from the States, I presume they're from the States by the way that they spoke. They had an American accent, slash Ebonics. Um, they stuffed envelopes. And you had another woman, an older woman, she was a typist. She was one of two typists. And I felt I was getting verbally attacked by these two women. Did nothing to them. And they were mocking the way that I spoke. And they, I've been told by some people thought that I might have had a British influence. So they were mocking, they were talking like they were from Britain or something, and aiming it at me, but in a mocking way, and laughing at me. So this could happen too. So is that racist for someone to, let's say a black person coming to someone like myself? Is it racist when someone comes up to you and mocks the way that you talk, and thinking and assuming you're from a particular place? I'm not from that place. I'm physically not from that place. Is that racist? Yeah, let me know in the comments. What do you consider that? You know. But I was just surprised when it happened to me. I didn't say anything. I was just dumbfounded, because I identify with other Black Americans. So I just was surprised. I thought we were all in the same boat. We just did different tasks. So they might have been doing that because I was a computer person, and they so-called just stuffed envelopes. Have pride in yourself. No, there's no such thing as a small job. That's another problem America has, and maybe the world as a whole, that we don't take pride in the work that we do. Whether you sweep the floor, sweep with skill, with perfection. Whether you're a surgeon, do with skill and perfection, because everything is needed. You need people who clean. You need people who manage. You need people who are scientists. You need all types of people. You know, so we have to stop being sensitive about our position. It can happen to any of us, you know. So that's another type of thing that used to happen to me when I was younger. I was in my 30s. Let's see. Oh, I forget now. I could have been my 20s or 30s. I forget. But yeah, it made me very uncomfortable. It made me feel like, where do I fit? I would say that's the biggest thing with me growing up. Where do I fit? How about you? How do you feel? What do you consider? Do you consider certain things racist or not? Another thing I learned with my experiences traveling to different places and living in different places, I realized it's a big world, and people are naturally curious about one another. I go outside, sometimes I catch myself staring at people. I do, sometimes I catch myself staring. But I'm curious about people. I'm curious about, yeah, there's a natural curiosity, especially if you live in the area and someone stands out, you're going to be curious. So how do you really approach a situation like that? Like I said earlier, um, I think you should always start with yourself. Um, be friendly. You want a friend, be friendly. And if you want to know about someone, share about yourself. Show yourself that hey, you're an open person, an honest person, and a person who is accepting of others. Share them about your culture, you know, because if not, then people might think that you're trying to judge them. But really, again, that curiosity, sure, I'm curious. See, we're human, and we want to know about one another. We want to learn about each other. So, yeah, is it only racist if a white person asks you about your background? Oh, I remember something else. I was at a park in New York City, and again, where I live, um, I don't find that many people who are born and raised in New York City like myself. People from all over the world, people from other states that come to New York. And we have a lot of tourists, too, from other parts of the United States. Um, but I'm proud to say I'm a New Yorker. um, so one day, yes, sometimes I want to make a distinction that, yeah, I'm a New Yorker. Um, um, I met someone in a park. I don't remember how the conversation began, but it was someone from, um, I think, I think he started speaking Spanish to me, but I do not speak Spanish. And when he saw I didn't respond, so then he spoke in English. And he said, "Hey, where are you from?" He was very bubbly. Um, I want him to know that I'm a local girl. I'm from Queens. I'm a local girl. And he says, no, 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 no. I don't mean that. Where are you from originally? So I was taken back. And I said, I am from here. I am born and raised here. Then he got offended. He said, well, I'm from Jersey. So, but the reason why um, I felt, I felt, see, he was from another country or another, location outside of the U.S., but he's living here. I wanted him to know I'm a local girl. Because most people are from, yeah, because I had pride of being from a New Yorker, being a New Yorker. And I wanted that to preside that I'm born here. And I know that you weren't born here, you know. So I responded, I am a New Yorker, I'm a native New Yorker, I'm born and raised here. So, he was, see, I think, see, he thought I might have been from the country he's from. Um, but I wasn't. Um, so I just, he was a friend. He thought sometimes what could happen if you're mistaken for someone from the Spanish-speaking world, especially the Spanish Caribbean location, um, I might look like many of them. And so they might think that you're trying to deny your heritage, your Hispanic heritage, and you just say, oh, I'm from here, you know. But I wasn't doing that. But I am from here, though. And it is to make a distinction, those who are born here versus those who are born somewhere else. Other times, what I might do, again, it depends on how I feel the person is coming across to me. Um, yeah, what was that racist of that person? Is it racist for the Hispanic to say, where are you from originally, after I told them I'm a local girl, I'm from here? Is that racist? You let me know in the, in the comment section. Um, but in general, now, in general, what I do, with all the different experiences that I've had, being from New York City and having a diverse background, um, I'm comfortable with myself. But and again, I understand um, human curiosity, and I just don't want to get in any argument with someone. And again, human curiosity. Sometimes I'm very curious with people, what other people are, but I don't ask people what they are. But I may say, hey, I'm from such and such place. Where are you from? You know, again, it depends. I don't believe in just going up to someone and getting their business. Have a relationship. Have a, you know, respect the person's boundary. Feel it out, you know. But in general, what I do, if someone to ask me my background, then in general, with the way that I log and the way that I talk, I basically know where they're coming from. So in understanding that, this is what I usually say. Oh, I'm a local girl, you know, from New York City, but my grandparents are from a such and such. That's how I usually handle it. And if and especially if the person is of Caribbean descent or blacks from the South or whatever, or an African. That's in general what I said, because we want to know how we are in relationship to each other. It's a given. It's a given. I know it. They know it. You know. So I just say. But I feel a little bit more guarded if it is a white person asking me. Yeah, I feel more guarded because of what, you know, how it comes across. I mean, like what happened in Britain with the black woman that works for a women's organization in Britain, and she's being verbally accosted by the white woman that works for the Royals, you know. So you don't want to feel like, you know, someone pecking at you. You have to, you know, if any white people are watching this video, um, we all have boundaries, and I think even within the European American community, uh, people may ask you, hey, what are you, you know, people are curious, and sometimes things are for dominance. We how am I going to treat you because of what you are? Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, people don't want to feel like they're being defined or you're going to be placed in a category based on your answer, you know. So, has anybody ever said, you know, to someone who asks you, hey, what are you? Have any of you ever said, none of your business? I've never done that yet. Um, yeah, it's that would be interesting. That would be interesting. Um, but Jenny, you know, I guess as you get older, you get more. Sometimes you get more tougher, you know, a tougher shell, and you may not take it personal. And I guess the social environment too. Um, yeah, the social environment. Some things are not, you know, it may not be appropriate in certain situations, especially it was a lively event, and it was about a serious matter regarding domestic violence upon women. So that in itself will make someone feel, you know, might feel guarded if that's the background they come from, you know. Um, how is this going to affect people? Yeah, I understand that incident that happened in Britain. It happened maybe, I think, maybe 3 days ago. It happened relatively recent. Could this also be what Harry and Meghan are talking about? You remember the meeting that they had with Oprah, Harry and Meghan? Um, the I mean, is it actual racism? I would say it's curiosity and a little bit impolite, you know. Some of the people, like, they said that they made mention about their baby. One thing, don't talk about anybody's newborn baby. But I've heard conversations, just in America, about, especially amongst people of color, because in one family you can come out different colors. Let's say one parent is one complexion, the other one's something else, and the kids could come in different array of colors. And people do talk. People want, hey, what's this kid gonna look like? Because it's something that's very, it's going to be apparent about it, what someone might look like in the future. People are curious. But again, some things may not be appropriate if you're not from a particular background, you know. But amongst people of color, we always wondering what people are going to look like, you know. Sometimes people might have different color eyes. Sometimes the hair type, and sometimes the complexion. It all comes into play. Yeah, but I'm wondering whether with Harry and Meghan, and they were someone in their presence was asking about their baby and the color, is that racist? Um, I would say it's very personal and very targeted if you are, let's say, a white person, because historically rules were made upon people based on their color. So sensitive. So um, some Europeans or European Americans to be aware about how something might sound based on history. Um, but again, maybe some people may feel that they're in the driver's seat, and if no one ever reprimands them of a particular behavior or questioning, people think it's okay. Sometimes people just they weren't trained what not to say in situations because of heritage, because of history, I should say, history. And maybe in your history that it was common for people to question us. I don't think a lot of black people ask white people what they are. What is your experience? Have you ever found any black people asking white people what they are? That's interesting question. I don't know. But either way, I thought it would be an interesting conversation to talk about, because the signs of the times, people are being triggered, people are being angered, people's boundaries are being touched, and it's, I think, a time of awareness of what you say to someone, you know, what you say, what you speak to someone, and how they hear what you're saying. Just with what's happened in America with Ye, formerly known as Kanye, the things that he's saying. What is he saying? He's saying things that might be considered taboo, and it's causing a rift. This is the time of really getting out people's dirty laundry. There's a lot of things, but when I mean dirty laundry, there's a lot of things that sits underneath the carpet. And you can hide it for only so long, and it's building up. The rug is becoming lumpy. And I think right now what's happening, things are coming to the surface. Things that we weren't supposed to say, or what we're not supposed to notice is now being noticed. and it's now being spoken out. And in the process, it's hurting people. Again, something historically is said, and it wasn't um, it wasn't reprimanded because it was considered okay because of the social climate. Now I think people say it's not okay. It's not okay to impose upon others. It's not okay. So yeah, it's a social shifting of everything, in my opinion. Is it racist to ask someone where they're from? I guess it depends on who's saying it, why they're saying it, and are they willing to have the receiving end? Yeah. So thank you for listening, people, and let me know what you think in the comments below. Whether is it racist to ask someone what they are, who they are, and what was your experience? You can write that down below also. Your experiences. Um, Thank you again, and have a wonderful, wonderful day. Okay, take care and enjoy. This is Spirit Journey signing off. Bye bye. You know, we're all special people, regardless what your race, religion, nationality. We're all beautiful and special on this planet. Okay. Let's all try to become a one of heart. Have a good heart, people, okay? Take care. Bye bye.